throws. He lays out and makes the catch.
And we are back for our final edition of the preseason preview we got going on. We have the pitching staff coming up, and opening day is 3 days away, 2 days away by the time you're hearing this. So dark days are done. Baseball season's back, and back in the grind. Just back in the grind of the baseball season.
Yeah, real baseball. We're back to it. It feels good. The spring training baseball, it's all fun and games to kind of watch, but again, it's nothing like the regular season. I'm kind of just hoping, looking outside right now, that the rain kind of slows up for opening week, because it kind of looks like a lot of delays right now.
Yeah, April's usually like that.
Yeah,
but no, I think we're looking good. Maybe some rain Saturday, but Thursday should be good. And I can't even tell you how excited I am. Spring training games are pretty fun, but by the time you get to like late March, I just completely lose interest in them. I don't know if it's just me or if that's like a group thing, but after a certain point, like, it's just give me the real thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it feels like you could tell like the players are just working on things in their game, and like it's not the same level of intensity at all.
No, it's you can tell they're ready for the season just as much as we are. But let's get into this pitching staff, which happens to be a lot more thin than it was 2-3 weeks ago. It feels like names are kind of dropping left and right. And fortunately, we actually have some depth, which is being tested already. We have some guys who can hopefully give us good innings, and the Rangers and the Painters of the world will be up and helping once they finally get healthy. But let's get into it. Phillies rotation 2023. Oh man, my editing wasn't super good on this. Look at the by Josh. I put the by Josh behind the 2023. Oh man.
All right. Yeah, blame it on an intern.
Whew. God. Nola, I figured it would be correct for us to start with Aaron Nola since he's starting opening day, as he should. He might not be the best, most talented pitcher on the staff, but he is our opening day starter, and he is going to take the ball against Jacob deGrom on Thursday. And there's a lot we can say about Nola, but perhaps the most interesting thing is the fact that discussions have broke off between him and the Phils. I don't really know where the numbers are. I kind of have a guess. But
what
him and I don't know. If I had to guess, he's probably closer to 250 while we're a little closer to 200. But Aaron Nola and the Phillies are going to have to wait till the offseason to continue discussing this contract situation. The cruel reality of it is, if we don't re-sign Aaron Nola and he hits the open market, he's going to be the most prized asset available, and he's going to be able to get whatever he wants. Whether that's $250 million, or if there's a bidding war that drives it even higher, he's going to be a hot commodity come off season, and his price probably just got higher by us waiting. He's going to get more expensive every day, and it's going to be weird if I don't see Aaron Nola in a Phillies jersey next year.
Yeah, I personally, how I feel. I would hate for Nola to pitch in a different uniform than the pinstripes, but the reality of the situation is that, like, the fact that we didn't get it done before the season, I don't think it's ever going to get done now.
Where do you think he's at? What, like I said, 200 to 250. Where do you think this is at between the two?
I haven't really looked too deep into the numbers, but I think he has a lot more leverage than people give him credit for. I mean, it's a thin free agency market when it comes to pitchers next year, and the guy's been durable for what's it been, 7 years now?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the ceiling, obviously, of Garrett Cole, but Garrett Cole entered the free agent market at roughly the same age. Garrett Cole was a workhorse who gave you, low threes ERA. Aaron Nola kind of does a lot of the same things Garrett Cole does, and I know Yankees fans are going to, disagree with that. Garrett Cole's the man. But Aaron Nola is effectively the same type of pitcher. He just doesn't have the power stuff. And if I was signing a guy to a long-term deal, I'd rather bet on someone who can pitch without the power stuff because, Aaron Nola is probably going to age pretty well. That two-seamer might get better as he gets older. And, the curveball, I don't see him losing the feel of that. And he's going to age pretty well for a pitcher. He's durable. If he gives us another 200 innings of, a 3.2 ERA, he's going to get paid. He's going to get whatever he wants. And I hope that it's something that we're willing to give him because, let's actually get into the numbers here. He's going to give us probably 200 innings if everything goes correct, if everything goes right. You look at some of these indicators, the FIP, the xERA, the xFIP, they just scream high-quality pitcher. Baseball Savant page, which if you've been watching the series, I'm obsessed with the Baseball Savant page. Bright red, XBA, hard hit percentage. He doesn't give up hard hits. He doesn't walk people. He is interesting in the aspect that if you're comparing him against like the aces of the game, I can't think of any names off the top of my head, but like Sandy Alcantaras and Corbin Burns type, he kind of does get hit around a little more than those. I think he's more prone to give up 3-4 runs in a start, but at the end of the season, he's gonna throw up a lot of high quality innings, and it's so valuable in today's game because you just don't get those type of innings out of so many pitchers like this. Sandy Alcantara put up 220 and everybody was all amazed, but Aaron Nola had 15 less innings and no one's talking about that. He's just so durable, consistent, homegrown guy. We've seen him. We've been watching him for 8 years now, which is insane. It's gonna be a really, really bad day if he signs on the dotted line to play somewhere else.
Yeah, I think you covered it all there. And people forget that Nola had those playoff innings too. He put him over Sandy actually in the end. But he pitched like 235 innings, which is pretty absurd if you're asking me. But I have a pretty gross feeling that if we don't get him, the Mets and the Dodgers are going to come knocking really quick. Because, you're right. He's a finesse pitcher who's going to age really well. All signs kind of point towards it.
Yeah, I heard Dombrowski say that this is similar to the JT situation, but it's not because Aaron Nola is more valuable. People weren't lining up to sign a 30-plus-year-old catcher. That's JT's the best in the game, but it's just not an investment people are normally willing to bet big on a catcher that old. But people are more than willing to make that bet on a pitcher, and especially one who's been doing it as long as Aaron Nola. Rough times. Rough time with Knowles, but I'm happy he got the ball in game one.
That's right.
That's going to be 6 for him, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. I can't tell you how many pitchers in today's game stay with teams that long, and he has 6 opening day starts, so good for him.
Yeah, absolutely, well deserved, and I always trust him out there on opening day. It's a good way to start it off. Watching Knowles do his art.
Over-unders
for this year. I got 200 innings pitched for Aaron.
Give me the over.
Wow, slamming the over too. It seemed confident.
He's going to give you, like, I can't explain it, but the guy, knock on wood, the way his profile is set up and the way he pitches, it's just easy on the arm, I feel, and he's going to pitch deep, and he's got a lot of trust from Tomper, and I see 200 innings in the bag this year.
Okay, what about for his home runs per 9, over under 1? He sat at 0.83 last year, but hadn't really done that much in his career.
Give me the under on that. I'm pretty bullish. I'm pretty bullish on Aaron Nola. And
you're thinking good contract year for Aaron.
Yeah, it feels like these are, big contract years are common. I feel like everybody has a good contract year.
Ooh, I got to apologize to anyone who's listening though, because we did hype up Reese's contract year.
My bad.
Yeah, so maybe knock on wood about Aaron.
Yeah, that's our bad. But anyway, Aaron Nola. Moving on. Zack Wheeler, partner in crime to Aaron Nola. Wheeler is probably on a per inning basis the better pitcher of the two. he definitely probably has better stuff. He relies a lot on velocity, which is always scary because if that velocity diminishes, as we saw last year, you just lose your effectiveness. But it came back. It came back in the World Series, and he had a whole offseason to rest. So I feel pretty confident that he'll be okay going forward. This Baseball Savant page is pretty spectacular. He's just developed into a very good pitcher, and it's a testament to both our development side and to him. He's learning to use his stuff really well, and his durability is kind of polarizing because when you think of Zack Wheeler, you think he's kind of durable, but he has had some injuries in the past, and this past season we saw some injuries, and he's getting older. So I mean, it is something you kind of got to worry about. But if he's healthy, he'll give us high quality innings for 180 or so throughout the season, and it's nice having him at the top there. And if Nola does walk next season, he's going to be all the more valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. We know who Zach is at this point. He's that ace type. He's filthy. He has the power that Aaron doesn't. And it is good that we do have on contract, I believe, 2 more years.
2 more years, yes.
Yeah, well, that's a really good thing. And I think when you have that luxury, I think we should think about properly managing his innings this year. I think we got to kind of be careful because we saw it happen in the playoffs last year. A little bit of fatigue, and that kind of hurt us down in the stretch run.
Yeah, people forget how old Zack Wheeler actually is. This is going to be his age 33 season. When he's done in Philadelphia, he's going to be a free agent coming upon his age 35 season. So you never really want to put a window on somebody, but this is the peak Zack Wheeler years, and we got to get every ounce of production we can out of him because he is getting older, and he relies on that velocity. Not everybody can be Max Scherzer. Not everybody can be Justin Verlander. The sad truth is most high-velocity pitchers don't age that well. So it is something to think about, and, people don't think about this kind of stuff, but the reason we need Nola so bad is because Zack Wheeler is going to be a free agent right after him. And you really kind of want that ace type pitcher. It's not going to be both of them forever. You kind of got to bank on one. And Nola's probably the safer bet at this point. He's younger and the stuff's going to age better. But for now, I mean, Wheeler is who he is, and there's a very good chance he has a better season than Nola. And I'm feeling pretty confident about him every 5th day.
Yeah, it's Zack Wheeler's time here has been quite the blessing. I mean, he stepped in and just has kind of dominated ever since putting on our uniform. So I expect the same this year. And I think it was a really great timed contract because we got him straight through his prime. I mean, he's been really phenomenal.
I love reminding Mets fans about that too. That's one of my favorite hobbies.
Yeah, they try to shake that. Dan always tries to shake that one off, but like, come on, like he's up there, top 10 pitcher in the game. Like, you let him slip right between your hands when his value is low. But besides the point, my over-unders for Zack Wheeler are a 3 ERA. He's hovered.
Let's go a little over. Let's say him and Nola give us, low 3s ERAs, 3.1, 3.2. Just by nature of natural regression, you look at the xERA, which I think is a phenomenal indicator, and it's right above 3. So let's go with that.
All right. And then 170 innings pitched.
That's a more interesting line.
Yeah, that's the Wheeler line right there.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I could see them. Do I think Zack Wheeler can give us more than 170 innings? Probably, but I don't.
Are they going to let him?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be too aggressive with him because why would you if you think this team's going to go for a deep October run? I could see a couple phantom IL stints, especially once Ranger and Painter and all these arms get healthy. So give me the under on that for the regular season.
I would tend to agree with you here. I see more like 160 in the regular season.
Yeah, I'd be okay. I'd be very happy if I got 160 good innings out of Wheeler.
Yeah, always high quality innings from him.
All right. Well, that's where the fun kind of
Ooh,
stops.
Ranger danger.
That's where the fun kind of stops. Ranger Suarez.
This one's sad.
Yeah. So there's a lot we can say about Ranger. Comes on in 2021 and probably saves the season. We're not even in contention without Ranger Suarez. Absolute weapon out of the bullpen, out of the rotation, and it was a streak that isn't getting talked about enough. I mean, a 1.36 ERA in 106 innings.
Stellar.
No one you cannot replicate that. Like even the best pitchers in the game, the best relievers, Josh Hader, Ryan Helsley, they can't even come close to a 1.3 ERA. And it was this soft tossing lefty who managed to accomplish it. He relies a lot on deception, relies a lot on location, and he relies a lot on ground balls and kind of letting the hitters get themselves out. He's not going to strike out a ton of hitters, which provides a good balance to the rotation, especially with the big time arms at the top. But last season was by some means a disappointment. I don't think it was a failure by any means, but it was a big step down for Ranger. The strikeouts 9.08 to 7.47. It's a big drop, 1.5 Ks per 9. Walks went up. He regressed. It's just what happens to baseball players. He regressed, and he kind of settled into a middle of the rotation arm, which is fine. But now the concern kind of starts with the health, forearm tightness, and it's never a good sign when you're banged up in March. I don't know the reason. Maybe he had a off season that kind of went off the rails, and he wasn't ramped up enough. But he got to the World Baseball Classic and felt some tightness. Came back, and he's not gonna really pitch for probably the first 2 weeks of the season. I think they're saying 1 or 2 rounds through the rotation, and it's not good. It's not a good sign for this early in the season, but it's nothing he can't overcome. Once he's healthy, we're probably going to get closer to the version of Ranger last year, just by looking at some of these indicators up here. Looks like he does not throw a fastball that spins very much. He's kind of just middle of the pack in terms of skill set, but every rotation needs those type of guys.
Yeah, Rangers still a key component of this rotation if it's going to be successful. He's a guy that he's not going to throw a shutout with 10 Ks, but he could throw you 5-6 innings with like 6 strikeouts, 7 strikeouts, and you're going to need that. And he happens to be a gamer, so close games, I've always trusted him in those situations. Like bases loaded in like the 5th or 6th inning, keep Ranger, and I don't think anyone else has the same fire he does. So statistically, he's not going to jump off the charts. I think a 3.5 ERA is kind of his ballpark as a pitcher. And if he can keep the ball on the ground as much as he does, I'd take him in our 3-4 slot even next year.
Yeah, I've been kind of thinking about how Rangers season's going to look, and I didn't have much time to look into this, but the shifts going away. Ranger Suarez is a huge ground ball pitcher. I wonder how much that kind of helped him, but he will have better defense. Actually, not really when you kind of think about it. Between Stott and Gene, traded Stott. The middle infield is going to be kind of the same, but he is losing the shift, so there's a chance that leads to a little more hits, which leads to a little more runs. Nothing crazy, but it's just for Ranger, it's a matter of getting healthy, staying healthy, and being healthy once we get to the playoffs. Because, like you said, he's very good on that stage. He's very level-headed, and he has a calming presence, which is very refreshing, especially after watching some of these pitchers on the Phillies over the past couple of years just implode under pressure. Ranger doesn't do that. He stays calm, and if you beat him in one of those situations, that means you earned it. He didn't give it to you.
Yeah, 100%. And kind of going back to, I do think I was thinking about the whole shift with Ranger when I was looking at some of his numbers, but then I started looking at Stott and Trey's numbers, and we do improve based off just pure range. I wonder if that will help, because Gene's range at second was good, but like not great. He just was a brick wall when the ball came nearby.
Yeah, and Gene had a really good arm over there at second base. I don't know how Stott's arm compares to him, but this is just minor details. We're kind of nitpicking now,
Yeah.
but I guess that's what we have to
You
do
know.
in the offseason.
Yeah, it's final off-season podcast. Thank goodness.
Yeah, these are fun when you start, but then they kind of start to drag on, and you're just ready for actual material to talk about.
Yeah, give me something that counts now.
Let me hear that over under.
Okay, I got ground ball rate 55%.
Over.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely over. It was over last year, and man, 59% in 2021. That's a good line. But no, I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be over 55%. He's learning how to pitch as he gets older, and he's going to understand that he doesn't have the stuff to K people, so he's just going to let him hit it. Let him hit it right into the ground.
Fine with me. Innings pitched 150.
That's another good line.
Yeah, I think this was a stumper.
So he crossed it last year, barely. He also had a similar spring last year. I think he had visa problems or something.
Yeah, he can't catch a break.
Yeah, the guy just can't show up in March without issues. Some of it his own fault, some of it not his fault. But yeah, I'm going to go slightly under because they're going to treat him kind of like they treat Nola and Wheeler, where October is important to Ranger Suarez. You really need him to go in a playoff series, preferably game 3. So let's just make sure he gets there and not worry about the inning total.
All right.
Taijuan Walker.
Hey, new guy in town.
Yeah, so I was pretty excited about Taijuan Walker, and then, I kind of came to this slide. I put the slide together, and this doesn't look too good.
No, doesn't.
He gets hit pretty hard, which is never a good sign. His stuff doesn't really raid out too well. He doesn't get a lot of spin on any of his pitches. Judging by this, you kind of think that he's pretty mediocre. His stats are surprisingly good considering how ugly that Baseball Savant page is. Mid-3s ERA last season, with all the indicators pointing to that being somewhat accurate. 150 innings. We brought him in to stabilize the back of the rotation, and at the very worst, he should be able to do that with a relatively league average ERA. Probably a little closer to 4 than it was last year, but I mean, there's still value in that, and the innings are going to be super important out of Taijuan. We're going to need him to give us or take the ball every 5th day, kind of like Gibson. Hopefully he can be a little better than Gibson, but he needs to just go out there every 5th day and just give it all he's got, and hopefully he's going to have it more days than he doesn't. I mean, that's kind of the story with him.
Yeah, the thing that really sticks out when you look at his numbers is kind of just the ground ball percentage going up over the years, and the home runs per 9 kind of going kind of down. Kind of crazy last year that he had didn't really have a great year, but he had a really low home run per 9 and a very good ground ball percentage. He would have. It'll be interesting to see what type of pitcher he is. I think the Phillies were kind of thinking more about what they can make Taijuan Walker.
That was going to be my next question. What can they make Taijuan Walker? What is the answer to that?
I think it's more horizontally moving pitches. I think he's been hanging with that split change or whatever that is, and like a sinker. But he's also got a slider. I think they're going to lean into the slider more, to be more of a strikeout, wipeout type pitcher. And maybe add a cutter. I feel like everyone in the Phillies adds a cutter.
No, he will absolutely have a cutter. He will have a cutter.
Everyone and their brother has a cutter.
He that is part of the deal. That was included in his contract that he has to learn a cutter. And he's going to rely on the defense that we think is going to be much improved. And that left on base, that strand rate, the left on base, I think that's a little high. I don't know what the normal MLB average is, but feels like that strand rate might regress a little bit, which is going to lead to more runs. And it's also a story of his first and second halves. You've mentioned that his second halves have tended to be much worse than his first halves. And in the second half, we are going to be playing high contentious games against the rest of, the NL East and the the best teams in baseball, and we need him to be the best version of himself. I don't know how we make that happen, but that's going to be very important. And if we do get to October, which we anticipate we will, he needs to be more of the first half player we've come to know instead of the second half. And I'm sure they have a plan for figuring that out. That might even include a Phantom IL stint, which I feel like is going to be a pretty popular activity this year.
I think when the majority of the rotation's healthy, I think they should be handing those out like candy because we need to. We saw what the playoff run does to a pitching rotation. It can pull some pieces apart.
Yeah, especially those you can't just work your top pitchers to death, and we saw that and we learned from it. I don't expect it to happen again.
Yeah, I guess to the over unders. I think these two are very interesting to me. Over under 8 Ks per 9.
I'm gonna cheat and see what he was at last year. Oh, 7.5.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge indicator of if the Phillies are working with him. His strikeouts have to go up.
Oh my God, it's going down too.
Yeah, it's a regression.
Down.
Can the Phillies? But he was on the Mets. I mean,
in Caleb Cotham, we trust. Give me the over.
Thank goodness. I was trying to lure you into that decision because I'm trying to put some trust in Taijuan Walker. I feel like everyone kind of fizzled out on him, but I think he can become a nice pitcher. I think he was more of a thrower the past 5 years. And then innings pitched 175 for a guy he's been working up towards there recently, but
yeah, I'm gonna
hasn't quite reached it.
I'm gonna go under.
Pretty safe bet, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. He's kind of just gonna get stuck with the Phantom IL stint somewhere this summer. So give me the under. Moving on, Bailey Falter, who has an equally ugly baseball page. Bailey came into the spring in contention for the 5 spot by nature of being the last man standing. He's starting game 4. And he was pretty good last year, stabilizing figure to some extent. There's a period in August where he's the only one I trusted, to be completely honest. He was pitching very well when we needed him last season. Couldn't really buy in too much. It wasn't the most convincing. He was giving us quality starts, but wasn't exactly blowing people away. And he will continue to not do that. He's not that type of pitcher. You look at some of these stats here, 7.9 Ks per 9. Doesn't walk anybody, which I always love to see. Batting average on balls and plays, that's normal, and the left on base percentage was pretty high. So he probably is slightly worse than he was last year over the course of a full season with, natural regression coming into play. He got hit around pretty hard too. The average exit velocity, hard hit percentage, barrel percentage, the X slug was in the 9th percentile. Yeah, these are all pretty bad. But he doesn't walk anybody and he throws strikes, and there's a spot for him on this team if he can continue doing that. And the extension's kind of cool. He's in the 100th percentile of extension, so I guess his stride's longer than everybody else's. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's definitely taking the crown on extension, but that's probably about it. To be honest, I'm having a really hard time buying in on Bailey Falter. I was gonna let it slide as our five guy, but now that he's up to the 4 spot, I feel thin. Bailey Falter should not be a 4 on the Philadelphia Phillies this year. We got deep pockets. Come on now.
Injuries suck. Injuries suck to everybody not named Bailey Falter, who has a ton more job security now than he did about a month ago. But no, he's fine. He's not going to be super exciting. He's just going to go out there.
You're not selling me at all.
He's just going to go out there and throw strikes. I mean, that's all. That's all he's got.
What happens this year after he had his nice little run of starting last year against the NL East, and then they see him again, and he's not a guy that's going to like. I mean, once you see the guy a couple times, he can't be the hardest thing to hit in the world. I worry about the division studs kind of settling in on him. Some of the righties on the Braves, maybe. I worry about those guys.
Oh yeah, the Braves are a nightmare matchup for him. Absolute disaster.
How do you sit there, Bailey Falter versus Atlanta Braves, and be like, yeah, we're.
No, he should just not face the Braves at all season. But I think what he probably needs is did we give him a cutter yet?
Oh, probably. I'm pretty sure.
Probably. You think he has a cutter? Oh man, that was the only thing I had up my sleeve.
You thought you could fix him?
Oh man, I was gonna add a cutter and kind of call it a day, but if he already has a cutter, I'm out of tricks here. I don't have anything else to make Bailey Falter more effective. Damn.
All right, I'm not gonna judge Bailey too much. I'm just gonna go right to the over-unders here. 4 ERA and a 1.5 home run per 9 over/under for both.
Probably over for both.
Yeah.
Look, the biggest value for Bailey Falter is the fact that he can get big league hitters out once, more often than not. He's not gonna impress anybody. He's probably the definition of kind of a league average pitcher. Doesn't strike out a ton of people, and he doesn't give up an insane amount of runs. He's just there. He's depth, and a lot of teams actually wish they had a pitcher like Bailey Falter. We're probably taking him for granted a little bit. It's useful having that pitcher who, he can be kind of thrown back and forth between AAA, the majors.
That's a good point.
And he's just there. He's cheap. He's fine. He's just fine.
I guess I do agree. It is nice to have a guy like that in-house available to pitch. But I think the only thing that rubs me the wrong way is that now he's at the 4 spot. I mean, if he was our 5, I would not be complaining this much. But
it's valid.
But I just wish we got at least one more piece in that back end of the rotation, maybe this offseason. But it is what it is.
And last but not least, for the serious threats to the rotation, Andrew Painter. This is kind of going to be a sad breakdown here, but a lot of hopes coming into spring. He looked pretty good when he did pitch, but 19-year-olds are not supposed to throw 100 miles an hour. It's not natural. It's not human. He was a freak of nature, and that's why he's so highly ranked. But with that comes a lot of risk. A lot of pitchers go through arm troubles in their career. I mean, the number of pitchers who don't get hurt is just about nothing. Everybody gets hurt eventually. He's gonna have some growing pains, both physically and metaphorically. His UCL is probably partially torn. I'm not sure what the specific diagnosis was. I think it was a sprained UCL or something like that. It's probably partially torn, and we're just not getting the full story. With that comes the dilemma of, is it going to heal completely? If it doesn't, what do you do then? If it does, should you worry about it? How do you build back up? There's just so many questions here. I'm certainly happy I'm not the one making the decisions, because this is, if everything breaks right, this is the type of pitcher that can get $300 million. He's got that type of upside. If you think best pitchers in the game, if you think Sandy Alcantara, Corbin Burns, those type of pitchers, he can fit right in with the amount of talent he has. And he is an extremely valuable asset that we have to take very good care of. That might mean doing the uncomfortable thing and not using him very often this year, letting him get completely healthy, baby him to death. It's difficult, but I don't think we should put too much stock in Andrew Painter being as big of a factor this season as we hoped he would be. And I think it's for the better.
Definitely. Much as it sucks, I think we all got a little excited when he was in big league camp, looking pretty good. But the reality of the situation, you're right. He's 19.
19.
He's 19 years old, and we know he has frontline stuff. We've been able to see it now against big league hitters. And we just talked about Nola and then Wheeler. We're going to be losing them back to back. Andrew Painter, when in the grand scheme of things, we shouldn't ruin his arm this year. We should just take care of it, because it's way more important the following seasons than it is this year.
Yeah, I wonder I wonder how much leverage, Dombrowski was using in terms of having Andrew Painter and Mick Abel and all these arms in the minors. You're negotiating with Aaron Nola, and if Aaron Nola knows that we don't have anybody to replace him, he has all the more leverage in a negotiation. But we do have arms that can match and even surpass the talent that those top two have with Nola and Wheeler. And Painter is one of them. He's the best pitching prospect in baseball, him or Grayson Rodriguez. And he's only 19. I mean, Grayson's older. So, yeah, Painter, just get healthy, big guy. And
take your time.
My outlook doesn't change for Andrew Painter's career. He's nasty, and he will he'll leave his mark on this team one day. I just don't know when that'll be.
Yeah, when it's the proper time.
Absolutely. Do you have over-unders?
I do not.
Okay. Slacking.
I mean, I just don't know what this guy's we could just do games started in MLB. 5.
Under. Give me the
biggest we under this year?
Under.
Yeah.
Give me the innings, and I think he's going to be like under 40, under 50 innings. I really don't think
under 50
much. Under 50.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I just don't think he's going to pitch much. All right, last but not least, we won't spend too much time here. So we have depth here. We have Michael Plasmeyer, who nobody knows probably, Christopher Sanchez, who some of you might know, and Nick Nelson, who probably is the most popular of the group. Rank these guys from most excited to least exciting.
Michael Plasmeyer, Christopher Sanchez, Nick Nelson. I don't think there's any other order.
Can we agree that Nick Nelson has to be just the least fun person to ever watch pitch? I could not be less excited when he comes in. It's nothing personal. I mean, he's got good stuff. He just doesn't do it for me. I can't explain it.
His demeanor is so boring, and his stuff it's effective. It's been good enough, but he really is not the most fun to watch at all. I was kind of hoping he'd get nudged off the team, but for someone more talented. But I'm glad we have him with all these injuries.
I mean, he's injured now too, so I'm.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Yeah, he's injured. I think Sanchez is injured, but Plasmeyer's he's doing good. Good. And I included his stats here. He's actually been kind of good. AAA last year was very good. MLB, I don't remember him pitching, but he had a 3.68 ERA, which is good. Over 7 innings. I don't remember when those 7 innings were.
You may just give him the 5 spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with it. He welcome to the staff, Michael Plasmeyer. I don't think he's going to be used as a starter with us going Strom for Game 5. I think he's going to be more of a long man. But yeah, he's definitely the most exciting of the group. Christopher Sanchez is probably a quad A player. Super good AAA player, just below average MLB pitcher, which is fine. He's one of those guys you bring back and forth. And Nick Nelson, like you said, if everything goes right in the bullpen, he's probably not a part of it. As brutal as that sounds, he was definitely the weak link last year in the bullpen, and we have some guys now who are probably going to replace him with better numbers, and I don't think anybody's going to be too upset.
Yeah, Nick Nelson seems like he's going to be the guy when we're at a 9-0 deficit in the 8th inning. It's like, Nick Nelson's coming in to close out the final 2 innings of the game. I just with the amount of players we added, I think he just slides really far down.
Is that going to be that's going to be when you and I turn off the game at that point, right?
Yeah, so hopefully no one's watching Nick Nelson. You turn off the TV
you probably won't see much of him because if he is pitching, that means the game's just over, and you
should probably find something better to do.
Yes, precisely. But that's our depth, and it's better than it's been, which is crazy to say because we're talking about Nick Nelson here and Christopher Sanchez, but. These are 6, 7, 8, 9 guys. They'll get spot starts. They'll pitch doubleheaders. We didn't mention Mick Abel, who Mick Abel gets up here. No, not at all this year.
I think he might, but we could talk about that later in the year.
Griff.
Griff, I think if people get injured, I think things are gonna move quicker. Only have so many good arms in this organization. So
yeah, any other arms you want to mention? I think that's it.
Nah, that covers it up.
Pitching staff.
It could be a carousel in the bottom of this rotation for sure in 2023 until everyone gets healthy and hopefully at the same time.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see how they manage that, and I think we're in a good spot collectively. I was hoping for a little more health, but Dombrowski did a good job filling it out with pitchers for depth, and good teams are deep in that regard, so that's always good. Got anything else, or I think we're kind of good on this episode?
No, I just think I think another thing to add is I think the strong, deep bullpen is going to be very helpful going into this year, shallow in the rotation. I think we're going to be able to use some of those guys a little bit earlier in the game, which is helpful. It will help ease some of the pain these first 2 months of injuries. But that's all I got, Josh.
Cool. So next time we talk to you guys, it is going to be baseball season. I guess we'll let opening weekend unfold in Texas. We get DeGrom again on opening day. It's crazy.
Why can't you get away from that loser?
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens. I'm sure he's going to give the Rangers 3 solid innings of very good production, and call it a day. But yeah, you'll hear from us again after this weekend, and things are going to be ramping back up with actual baseball stuff and not just previews, and that's always good. So as always, thank you guys for listening. If you are into the Sixers, I think the Sixers are in style nowadays. I think they're good again.
They are.
Yeah. Go give PickSwap a follow. Check out some of their stuff, and you will be hearing from us soon. Thanks, guys.